know. What is it? What is it? Don't eat my cable. No, don't cable. Wonderful. Baby girl, do you want to cuddle? Do you want to cuddle? Hey, sweetie. Cuddle. Do you want to cuddle? No? She doesn't know. All right, baby. I love you. Just making myself some tea, and then I can back. And the bunnies are deciding whether they want to be in the show right now. I would flip the camera around and show you, but they do this from time to time. They come over here and they pretend to like each other. And she's turned her back on him, so he'll get upset and he'll piss. Right, I'm just gonna fetch my tea. It's just brewing. Right. I'm already surprised to see there's people on here. I do this because I don't have any memory on my phone. So if I just commit it to the internet, it's there. And if I don't survive this, it's... And if I survive this, I've got material to transcribe and collect my thoughts together on how I got through this. So I had my visit with the oncologist Friday. Sarisu Oto. Sarisu. Oh, okay. What is this about? This is a personal journal. I'm just documenting my journey through cancer diagnosis. I've just learned that it's pretty aggressive. I've known I've had cancer for quite a long time, and the cancer fight is partially getting doctors to hear you, partially, the fight is the insurance and what the insurance will allow, because they allow tests that are really expensive. They need evidence. They need empirical evidence to do an expensive test. I'm just gonna backtrack and start at the beginning before I try and answer questions. Hey, Kingbird. I don't know how people end up on my teams because I'm literally just trying to document what happened over the weekend so that I have a log, a transcript that I can delve into and edit parts of if I survive this. Hey, Vino. Hey, baby. Baby, are you coming here to cuddle? Are you coming here to cuddle? Oh, baby. I love you. I love you. I have to, but... Well, what type of cancer? This has been the big question. So, a long ways back, I knew there was something wrong growing in me, and I thought, based on all symptoms, and based on my previous diagnosis, which is MCAS, which is on the cancer line. So MCAS is a mast cell disorder. It's a disease of the immune system that mutates into cancer at some point. And although they don't know what the mechanism is for MCAS mutating into cancer, I have a pretty strong idea of what causes it. With the stress and the continual ease by ease re-injury of these, the cells forget what they're doing and they mutate and they become cancerous. So I've been on this journey with my oncologist for about a year now, this precursor stage, precancerous stage, and he had his hands tied. Yes, exactly right. It's an autoimmune type of cancer caused by environmental factors of stress. I'm just quoting what I see on the screen someone wrote. Absolutely correct. So MCAS is a disease of the immune system, and eventually with chronic stress, environmental stresses, that when the disease is active, it reproduces, but something gets mutated, something's deleted, and the mechanism for shutting itself down, and then the cancer supplants and takes place. Now, MCAS commonly mutates into one of 4 cancers. I'm talking, I think, so River on the Pause says, you are so strong and for willing to talk about this with people you don't even know. You can get through this. Thank you very much. I'm talking about this because I feel like I'm trying to document for myself what I'm doing, how I'm getting through this, how I'm fighting it, my attitude, because I strongly feel I know what I'm doing. I know this disease. I've been living with it for some time. And I want to reassure other people out there that are fighting diseases, whatever stage you're at, that it's possible your immune system can see the disease and do this miraculous thing that medicine doesn't understand of fighting it back. So MCAS mutates into one of 4 cancers. Leukemia, which I had all the signs for. Lymphoma, which I had all the signs for, all the check boxes for. Colorectal cancer, which I'm having my colonoscopy, endoscopy on Tuesday, and I don't think they'll find, honestly, because I had Hi, pinworm. I had a colorectal screening about 18 months ago when I was having symptoms, and they missed it. They couldn't find it. I'm going to describe all those details, what it feels. Oh, pinworm, I didn't realize. Okay. So I know pinworm. Pinworm on me here right now with me is also a fellow cancer warrior. For you guys, we're in a very similar situation. So just this weekend on Friday, I had my visit with my oncologist, and I want to tell you about how that went, how to talk to doctors, how to read between the lines, how to understand how their hands are tied, because it's important to understand what a doctor cannot say and how to interpret that. And it's not bad. It's just understanding the medical system in which they're working. They're good doctors, and they're restricted to the system of insurance, which is just terrible. So basically, he has a hunch, and he said to me that everything is pointing towards my orthopedic surgeon, which he will direct, finding this. And it's no longer MCAS, it's something else, which immediately said to me, it's cancer. I get it. The thing is, from what I'm sensing, it's already metastasized and it's massive. And he was very concerned about that. I mean, I could see it in his face. So, I can't pronounce your name. Is it Saria? I can't pronounce. Anyway, Japanese name says, it's true the body can fight on its own. However, with the help of recent medicine and techniques, the immune cells can find the cancer cells even more efficiently. Yes, there is one of my favorite doctors on YouTube is called Gooby and Doobie. River on the Pause says, I've lived with a weak immune system since I can remember, and I get a lot easier than most. And it's honestly hard for me because I've been in multiple death situations. I totally get that, because MCAS is like an overactive immune system that just drops it whenever it wants, and then it gets confused, and you have to back in. You have to be really calm and rein it back in. Anyway, where was I? So my oncologist was like, I hit all the check boxes for cancer that's metastasized and it's urgent. He was literally writing to the doctor that he wants to direct to find this. And I told him about one of the weirdest signs, and that was when I work on myself in the jacuzzi, I put the jacuzzi nozzles on my pelvis where I'm feeling these clumpy matters, and the clumpy matters kind of break up like chi, I guess, and those clumps run around the body, they escape, and they implant themselves here. There's one there that implanted itself in my jaw and came out in my mouth, and then my immune system catches up with it within 3 days. It fights it back, so you get this painful swelling and a lump, and then it eats it back. Well, one of them landed on the end of my nose, and how it looked was really fascinating, and I wish I put it on camera, but that week I felt so ill, I didn't like him, so I really missed the opportunity, which is really kind of... In actual fact, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look through the live streams and see if I can see it, because there was a point where it became really like necrotized. So it appeared on my nose as this spine, this patch of like vascular formation that started to grow like a lichen on the end of it, and it felt kind of sore, and I was like, this isn't a pimple, that's something weird. But because I'd been doing the work in the jacuzzi, itching the cancer with the jacuzzi nozzles, I knew that something had broken off and traveled to the end of my nose where it settled and decided to land. River on the Wall says, I have to go now, but I'm going to subscribe so I can keep talking with you. Thank you. So, anyway, this thing on my nose started growing, and it was flat. It was just the blood vessels growing out. And then underneath my nose, and I'm going to be like, okay, it started to swell. Like the end of my nose was swelling. And then my system caught up with it, and it shut down the blood vessels and killed off the cells here, so they necrotized and they went black. But underneath, this rice grain developed, and I was just itching because it felt pretty uncomfortable, like really itchy. And then it put out in my thumbnail, it was like this grain of rice. I was like, that's weird. It looked like I pulled a botfly out my nose or something. And then I realized this wasn't a cyst, this was white, and it was like crystalline almost, like a rice grain. I told my oncologist, and he sat up and he was like, okay, so I really need to speed up your appointment with an orthopedist that can get onto it. Now, a bit of backstory. I have a hip replacement from 10 years ago. And the hip replacement, when I came round from surgery, the surgeon looked at me and he said, so you have very small bones, and I'm sorry to say that the hip replacement I gave you, the acetabulum, was the smallest one I could get, but it's still a bit big for your pelvis. It's going to overhang a bit, and it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. But it was the technology he had to work. And 4 months after the surgery, I was in pain. And I've been in pain ever since, because that hip replacement never fit me. The cup was too big. My muscles that wrap over the cup and onto my femur were being grated. They were being grated by the edge of this cup. So every time I walk, it's re-injuring my muscles. So what happens? You think about the chronic injury, the easement by re-injury of healthy tissue. It's going to become fibrosis. It's going to succumb to inflammation. And this inflammation slowly pooled in the bottom of my pelvis and became like this battery acid inflammatory stress that was going to trigger a mutation into cancer. But trying to get to the right doctor to tell them what was happening ago, it literally drove me crazy. No one believed me that I was being poisoned by my hips. Those were the only words I could use at the time. I didn't know how to describe what was happening. Anyway, I was diagnosed a year ago with MCAS, and I had all the pains. I stayed away from the hip idea because I thought I've been burned so badly when I was a surgeon, and they were talking about hip revision, but couldn't find anything wrong with me, and so I didn't follow through with it. I just felt so dismissed. But anyway, the pain's been with me ever since I've had the hip replacement for 10 years. And I'm supposed to be grateful, right? I'm supposed to be grateful that I can do handstands. I can't dance anymore, but I can move. And I'm supposed to be grateful for that. But the point is, it only takes one injury in my muscle, in my hip, and then I can't walk for days. And I've been suffering like this for 10 years. And so the immune system couldn't cope, and it mutated, and it enabled the cancer to start pooling in my body. Now it's metastasized, and it's aggressive, and it's moving its way up my body, and I have scars on my back. I don't know if I can show you this because I can't see my own back, but I'm gonna just try. It's easier in a swimsuit, obviously, but Oh, my vest. Nope, that's not. Maybe if I turn my arm over this way. No. Oh. Okay, get there. We'll get there. I'm gonna try. No. See it. Oh, you can see it. Okay, so that mark. See if I can move to the camera, wherever it is. That mark. That is a cancer sign. The oncologist looked at it, and I did my own back. I knew something was there, and it didn't feel really painful. It just felt like not right, just subtly painful, like there was something wrong. And my husband noticed it one day and said, it looks like bleeding, but it's not, because the blood vessels were all coming to the surface like a bruise. And they were kind of breaking through. The skin was open and there was some coming out. Like, once again, I had a couple of rice grains come out of it. And the muscle has indented, it's eaten away the muscle. So it always kind of feels a bit weird. And if I lie on my back, I can feel it. I didn't realize that was cancer. And I've had that on my back for about 8 months. It's been there. Anyway, the other day, I'm in the pool and I put my arms over the side of the pool and I thought, oh, I feel something else. And I'll just pop my arm out of the sleeve again. So, oh, there's a bruise there. It's just faint. Is that a bruise? Yeah, that's a bruise, right? But under the bruise, there's a lump under here, and you can't really see it. I don't think you can see it. Oh, yeah, there is a lump under there. And I only noticed that the other day, and I was like, oh, it's moved into my upper arm. It's moved from my shoulder into my upper arm. I just didn't know this because I didn't know it, so I didn't tell him, but he's already onto it. And he said to me, so are these rices coming out of anywhere else in your body? And I was like, well, yeah, actually. I look like a venereal disease down there because obviously this cancer's active in my pelvic bowl. It's in the lowest part of my body, and there are all the lymph nodes around that main area. And they're kind of, you can roll them, pinch them, they're kind of swollen. So every now and again, something erupts and it makes its way through the skin in a very uncomfortable manner. And then a rice grain will pop out of it. And he says, collect your rice grains for me. I was like, oh. So this is what he needed. He needed the physical evidence of the cancer, which so far until now, we've unable to been able to get a biopsy because it's just been elusive, you know, been unable to get an aspiration from the hip. We've been unable, even though they detected cancer through an abnormal smear because there's something leaking through my uterus, they couldn't find it. And it's there in the MRI, but he looked at the MRI report and he said the MRI report is bogus. And I'm just laughing because I saw it in the MRI. I saw it. And for an oncologist to say that, it was validating, but I just kind of laughed because I just thought, this is what happens with the insurance. The insurance refused to pay for my MRI at a hospital location. So I went down the road to a local location that probably employs the C-grade students out of med school that just don't have any empathy. They don't care what they're reading. They don't know what the patient's going through, and they just do the least they can. Miss it. That could have bought me some time with therapy or treatment. It moved the diagnosis forward. and they missed it. And I just don't know what I could have done any differently about that, other than not have C-grade students doing radiology reports. Go to a hospital, get the MRIs done at a proper hospital location where the doctors are working together with radiologists and they're directing them properly over their shoulder and saying, we're looking for something, check this shadow out. Because if you do it at a satellite location, a non-hospital location, they won't see the cancer. They won't. They're not looking for it, and they're not under the direction of a doctor. They've got a one-line entry that says hip pain, and they're looking for pain. They're not looking for anything else. So I'm like, next time you have cancer, don't do it through your primary care doc. Get with a specialist. And I love my primary care doctor, but he's limited. And he was trying to do things the fast way for me, so he wanted me to get an MRI. Not his fault. This system is so messed up. Hello, Beano. Hello, baby. You gonna come and join me? Hey? You gonna come and join me? What is it? Come on. Come on, baby. No, don't eat my cable. Come on. What? I'm having to hold the cable out of the way because he's having a tantrum and he's pulling on the cable. You're gonna come up here. Come up here and huddle. Beano, come on. Up you come. That's it. That's it. Maybe not. Maybe if I put the cable over the phone, he won't yank it. There, I'm making a bridge with the cable. I'm gonna just loop this over a few times. He doesn't want to be on camera. So, where was I? Yeah. So he wants me to save a rice grain if one pops out in the next 2 days. And regardless of what happens, there's going to be a biopsy, a surgical biopsy on Tuesday morning. So I'm going to have answers, even if it's extrinsic to the bowel. So it's not in the bowel, but it's blocking me up because it's pushing my bowel wall shut. So your bowel is normally round, but the thing is growing and it's pushing into my bowel wall and making it a very tight bend. So it's like pooping with an ice cream scoop. It just comes out like a butter spoon, you know? And the only way I can get it out is if I have severe diarrhea every day. So that's a good day in my life, is having diarrhea. Because then I can actually get rid of the feeling of backing up and feeling full and like I'm nauseous. Obviously, this can't go on. So they're going to see what they see on Tuesday, and I'm going to be closer to the diagnosis. But on my chart, he's now looking at sting of cancer and what type it is. And basically, when he said what he said to me, I've gained a bit of experience now to learn that doctors don't read signs. They cannot read this because this isn't a measurable symptom. They can measure symptoms because there are literal numbers and codes for every symptom, but this isn't a symptom that can be registered. This is a sign, a tell, that requires a little bit of empathy. If you leave the patient, you know. So when I speak to the doctor, I try and tell him exactly what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing, and I leave him to put my words in quotation marks because they're not allowed to report this as a symptom. This is not a sign of cancer, but it's a tell, it's a sign. So he's not allowed to say that, oh, she's precipitating these grains out of parts of her body. That's not a symptom. It's really frustrating, isn't it? It's. So anyway, the penny dropped that because he wants to die, my orthopedic surgeon, it's bone cancer. I was like, he's looking for sarcoma? There was me thinking, I'm pretty safe. MCAS, it's mutated, it's likely to mutate into leukemia, lymphoma, colorectal cancer. It could be any one of those. It's unlikely to be bone cancer, right? Because bone cancer is probably the worst, and it's very aggressive, very destructive, and it's a slate wiper. I'm gonna die, right? So I didn't think it was bone cancer. And then the penny dropped. He's looking for bone cancer. He's looking for sarcoma. Huh. Wait a second. Spindle cell sarcoma. Spindle cell sarcoma is the one that creates the rice grains. They create these little plebboliths, these little calcium crystals called pseudogout, which isn't gout, it's just calcium crystals that are specifically produced by the spindle cells of the body, which is the connective tissue. And normally their job, get this, is to heal. So when you think about replacement, it's constantly being injured and it's constantly healing. And that is inflammatory stress. That's a continuous inflammatory stress. So those spindle cells, normally when you heal something, they go away. They recede back. It's part of the inflammatory process, and when that's healed, they go away. But what's happened is my spindle cells couldn't stop. They became cancerous. And they have spread very fast throughout my body. They're attached to my stomach. So every time I eat anything more than a small amount, or any time I eat something with a big temperature difference, anything that triggers my stomach to suddenly squish really a lot, because your stomach has amazing gastrophysics. It can stretch 300 times size, and it mashes all the food up. It's very muscular, can contract and move a lot. But the clumpiness of diseased tissue and cancer cannot stretch. So when it sticks to the stomach, and it clumps and it grows, and then you drink something cold, and your stomach goes, there's a tear, and it's agony. So I was getting these painful, agonizing, tearing sensations whenever I ate too much, whenever I drank something cold or hot. And initially it started like, that was weird. That really hurt. And then 6 weeks later, it would happen again. Maybe it would longer. And then every week. And then I just couldn't eat because my stomach couldn't take eating food. And I just started feeling like I'm constantly full because my stomach is mummified and it can't move. And now I feel sick all the time. I was like, shit, I'm in trouble. I can't eat. I started losing weight. I lost 30 pounds in 2 months. I can eat small amounts of food, and the cancer is growing and it's hungry and it's stealing my energy and it's stealing from my body parts. It's consuming me. So it ends up making me feel extremely fatigued. I crash. And then I can't sleep at night because of the drenching and the itching. And I'm like, okay, I'm in trouble. I need to see my oncologist and let him know. We have this schedule set up where after I was diagnosed with MCAS, I was seeing him every month while the MCAS was active, and we were just trying to get it under control so that I wasn't degranulating and having anaphylaxis attacks. And I managed to get the system calmed down in 6 months. So I was diagnosed with MCAS, and within 6 months, I managed to calm my system down so that I wasn't degranulating these anaphylaxis attacks. But I knew something was there. I knew there was something that no one could label, and I didn't have the words to tell the doctor it was, because I'm just a layperson. I'm not supposed to know shit, you know. It can come across as very, you know, you're an MCAS patient suffers for many years with their illness before finally being recognized by the medical system. And that leaves us very little trust of doctors. So we tend to disregard them, and rightly so, you know, because they've ignored us for so long. So I had this one doctor that was listening to me, and I didn't lose him. But at the same time, I was like, how? I mean, I'm feeling a lot better because it's not degranulating, but I know there's something wrong. And the initial schedule of having a blood draw every month went down until I was seeing him every 3 months, and then it was every 6 months. And the last break was months, and I was grateful for that because I was so tired of seeing doctors, so tired of the EpiPens and just everything. I just needed a break to just be alone, and I thought that would work. That would relieve some of my permanent anxiety, but it didn't, because I know where the anxiety came from now. The anxiety came from knowing there was something like a ticking time bomb, and I was waiting for the symptoms to metastasize before a doctor would listen to me. That's what I was waiting for, and that drives you crazy. It's just anxiety beyond, you know. So I was coping with that, and then this thing started to metastasize, and I felt it spread, and I was like, oh, I need to get my oncologist to listen to this now. So he saw me back in January, and he looked very worried. He was concerned, and they're ethically not allowed to say anything for cancer because they don't want to stress you out. So they're ethically not allowed to say that. So he basically said, right, okay, we're going to reschedule for 3 months after you've had your hip revision. He assumed that me getting through the system would be quick based on his action. I found a hip surgeon, and they're tied as well. It's like they don't want to just give me a hip revision. They want to do all this diagnostic stuff and do something conservative, which is to do tissue and see if that fixes it, because they don't want to break my bones and take this junk out of me. So they slow it all down. And they slow down because of the insurance system, because the insurance isn't going to pay for a major surgery off the bat. They want to try and do conservative things that might fit. Hey, Bino. So I'm going to just change sides a second. I need to get comfortable again. Hang on. Talking up my nose. All right, baby? He's like, I'm just going to stay out of view over here. Okay, let's do this. No, don't eat the cake. Come on. So where was I? I feel like I've been rambling along. And I'm sorry because I'm not producing this live stream. I'm not producing it. I'm just doing it myself. But I'm also doing it because, if anyone wants into this and we've got similar stories to share, I just want to provide reassurance that this is stage 4 cancer. It's pretty obvious now. Stage 4 is considered, it's beyond, say, 7 or 8 centimeters and beyond that big. And it's in more than one area of the body, more than one organ. And I've hit all those check boxes. The problem is the oncologist is not allowed to give me a diagnosis until he has empirical evidence. So far, everywhere they've poked the needle to pull something out, they've missed. They've not found it. And the other crazy thing is, I have the best blood results ever. The only thing that's off is my white blood cell count and my eosinophilia, which is like a chronic, permanent, raised eosinophil level. And it behaves like leukemia, so you constantly feel fatigued, you itch like crazy, you can get abdominal discomfort because eosinophils invade the walls of the gut and they just give you the worst cramps. And my blood results have just continually been like, nothing here except eosinophils. And it was driving me crazy for years because I've always had a high eosinophil, the MCAS. But eosinophils can also be caused by cancer. And I'll explain a little bit about how that's related. So cancer is very friable. It breaks up very easily. And one of the things that cancer does is it stimulates what's called angiogenesis, which is the development of new blood vessels, because it tricks the body in it with more oxygen and more nutrients. So it tells the body to grow blood vessels by dropping these hormones that stimulate angiogenesis. Now, because the cancer is dividing so quickly compared to a normal cell, normal cells have a surface tension like a rubber ball. Oh, check this out. So normal cells have good surface tension. That means that things like oxygen and receptors and chemicals and hormones can bounce in and bounce. They can lock and unlock quite easily. And they can do their jobs. But what happens when a cell divides too quickly? All the surface tension disappears and it becomes boggy. It becomes boggy like a very thin-skinned kind of snowflake person, someone who plays victim all the time. Oh, I'm too tired, they just, a bit like this, right? And they disguise themselves in glycate proteins so that the immune system can't see that it's a thin-skinned liar, right? But the difference between this and this is quite significant in terms of body tissue, because body tissue feels stretchy and sinuous and twangy. Healthy tissue glides and moves, and your organs are free to move. Cancerous tissue behaves like this. It behaves clumpy. It has a lot of veins running through it. It's very friable, like kind of a cottage cheese. It breaks up easily. And when it breaks up, it bleeds. And when it bleeds, that triggers the immune system to release eosinophils and call them to action. And the eosinophils come in, and their job is to plug up all the bleeding swell up all the tiny capillaries and block it up so that the pathogens can't get into the body. That's why when you cut yourself, there's a swelling. It's the eosinophiles crowding those blood vessels out to stop the pathogens getting in. When you have allergies, those are eosinophiles crowding soft tissues and making them bloat up and swell so that a pathogen can't get in. But when you have cancer, and cancer is very friable, it breaks up easily, those blood vessels are being crowded out with the eosinophiles to try and stop the cancer spreading, right? And that's why your eosinophil levels go up, because the cancer's just constantly breaking up. Because it doesn't stretch. Everything moves, but the cancer just behaves this kind of clumpy cottage cheese or tofu and just kind of friable, like the inside of a cyst content. Now a cyst has a balloon around it, like healthy tissue that the immune system has kind of walled in. So benign tumors, they're friable, but they're encapsulated, they're completely enclosed, and they can't grow. Malignant tumors, they are the ones that don't have a surface boundary, they don't have any surface tension. The cell's divided so fast that when the new cell formed and turned into a cancer cell, every time it divided without the necessary toolkit to maintain surface tension, so it becomes this boggy cell that just makes these clumps. A bit like snow, I guess. Snowflakes. So I had a sense that there's this clumpy matter in my pelvic bowl that was just building up, growing, multiplying, because every time I'm doing my stretchy, dancey yoga stuff, I move, my muscles move, but something's stuck to them, breaks up, and you feel the bleed. You feel a very subtle hotness, not the muscle bleeding, but some tissue on it that just released itself and caused a little bleed, and the eosinophiles come in and swell it up, and you know what that feeling's like. If you're a dancer, you know what that feeling's like, because you're always bruising yourself, you're always pushing yourself to your limit. And so when you work your muscles hard and you have that athletic feeling of having good workout, that discomfort can be good, but it's definitely not good. You've got a bruised or you whacked something, then that sensation is similar to what the cancer does. It feels like a newly forming bruise. Perfectly it. It feels like a newly forming bruise. And every time cancer lays down another little clumpy bit, it grows more blood vessels into your healthy tissue, like muscle or whatever. And that sensation of growing new blood vessels is kind of tickly, kind of itchy, like you want to itch it, because it's a hormone sensation. But you can't touch it because it's not on your skin, it's stuck somewhere in your pelvis. So I was getting all these weird senses for a long time, and I didn't know how to describe it back then. And I'm hoping that by putting my words out there, by putting my poetry, my illustrative descriptions, someone can cotton on that and go, oh yeah, I know what that feels like. Like, don't be scared. Because some of these bad sensations are actually your immune system doing what it's supposed to do and killing it. Because now the scab got ripped off and the immune system goes, oh, that's what caused it. And now it has a name for the cancer. And it can chase it around the body, just like it did with me, to the end nose and go, I'm going to kill you. And that gives me great reassurance, because when that came up and then disappeared within 3 days, I knew my immune system was on to the cancer. I was like, doesn't matter where it goes, it's going to hunt it down and kill it. The problem is, there is a lot of it in my belly. A lot. It's about the size of a grapefruit. And it's spread. And to choose my battlefronts. And that's been like playing a game of chess. I've been playing a game of chess because I can't attack too many areas. I've done that before. When I first started attacking those different areas, I did too much. And there's a lag with your immune system kicks in after about 3 days. It takes about 3 days to multiply itself, to auto-clone itself with the same marker, and then go chase it down. So if you've done too much, it can make you very sick, and it's very painful because your organs get bottlenecked. They have to process the cancer cells. So what happens is the soldiers go out. They've seen the scab get ripped off. They've seen it, and they go, okay, nearest lymph nodes, build your troops. We're going after X. And those lymph nodes build the troops. They auto-clone the immune system specifically to kill the cancer with that name. But if you've done it in too many places, now all of your lymph nodes are on fire. They are all fired up. And what happens when you get an overload of the immune system in the blood? And many of them are bloated with digested cancer cells. So they've gone in and they've tasted the cancer and they've gone, yep, he's the one. Engulf him, kill him, reprocess the protein from the cancer, and anything that we can use will go through the liver and we'll use again. Anything that we can't use will turn back to the spleen, and then you'll do a system dump and it'll irritate your descending colon and we'll just come out there as watery diarrhea. So what happens is, if you've done too much of this work, the immune system's flooded your whole body, and there's a lot of debris it's carrying around in this imbalanced water effect, and your organs get bottlenecked. Your liver can't process all of it. Hey, Bino. Hello. Hello, baby. Liver can't process all of it. And the bottleneck means that they can't wait. They've got to get out of the body somehow, so they get stuck in your skin. And you end up feeling like a human cactus. This rash appears on your body, and it starts on your legs. It starts on the inside of eyes, around your knees, around the sort of joint areas where the immune system's active. And then it travels up to your abdomen, and that's kind of where you get in danger, because with this particular rash, it's just the immune cells that can't get out of the body fast enough with their cancer load that they need to get rid of. So they get stuck in the skin, and it's super itchy, like a needle's coming through your skin from the inside. Hey, Bino. He's like, please stop talking, Mummy. So, yeah, if you overdo the cancer fight, it fires up your immune system in unbearable ways. So I've learned to modulate how much work I can do on this cancer. But every time I do the work on it, another clump breaks off and travels far around the body and lands somewhere, maybe in a place that I can't see, but I soon discover it, because when the immune system catches up with it, it's painful. So the cancer itself doesn't feel painful. It feels kind of, because it's establishing itself. It attaches and grows veins. And this is the same sensation actually as when a woman feels when she conceives, when the egg lands in the velvety bed. The egg lands in her kelp field, right? And suddenly the hormone connects and the blood vessel to grow, to feed the egg. So you get the umbilical cord and you get the placenta growing. That sensation on both times when I was pregnant, that is what cancer feels like. I am pregnant with cancer. It's a funny feeling of conceiving because it doesn't feel right. It feels like kind of itchy, ouch. And there's a drift of hormones with it as the body stops the immune system from killing the implanted alien that's not part of your body, a different set of genes. So it's telling it to not attack this clump of cells because it's going to be another human being. It's going to be another, and that's what cancer does. It disguises itself. Don't harm me, I'm your baby. So your immune system doesn't see it. So to get your immune system to see it is a bit of a challenge, and you can do it yourself. And that's what I've been doing. I've been getting my immune system to see it, and I have to modulate that activity because when I do it too much, I get very, very sick. But the nice thing is I know I can do it. I know my immune system can chase it down and kill it because, you know, they come up. Actually, I had some around here in my face, but they've all gone now. It's just on the left side. Baby girl, do you want to cuddle? Shall I fetch baby girl? Oh, babies. Baby girl. You want to come, Bino? Do you want to come up? Baby. Love you. Don't eat my shirt. You know, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. See? See? No need to be angry. Can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss? No? Okay. I'll go back to talking, shall I? Now that Beano lost interest. Hmm? Oh, maybe not. He's back. Back. All right, Beano.
Conversation they had.
Yeah, they were just throwing shit at each other.
I don't know if I'm going to do physical therapy tomorrow.
Have you ever done it?
What?
Did we do too much this weekend?
Earlier today, I didn't tell you, earlier today, when I was putting them in the stroller,
Right.
I went and got her first. I had her in my arms. Coming over the fence, I don't know, I felt like she was going to jump out of my arms or something. She made a move. My leg was up in the air, and I pulled her back in, but I pulled myself off balance, and I fell, and I took this thing down and hit my knee
Oh.
pretty bad, and my wrist. But I had her, and I protected her, so I took the hit on the left side of my body.
Mm.
And it's stiffening up pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't think you can do physical therapy with an injury like that.
Well, I can do the upper body stuff maybe, but I don't know. Thinking I might have to cancel the whole thing. I hate to do that. It really sets them off last minute.
I'm really impressed how my face looks so much better compared to, I don't know, even 2 weeks ago. Looks dramatically different.
What is it?
He's angry because she's in here, and he just gets angry.
No, he just got startled. I'm not sure what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
I opened the cupboard door or something. Just so many different little things can set him off.
No, don't eat my, no. Hello, Beano. Beano, you're turning your back on us. He's doing it intentional, isn't he?
She was like a little stunt bunny. She didn't even go bug eyed.
Oh,
But
she just...
I had her and I looked at her and she was like, "What did you do that for?"
Beano, Beano, can we have a kiss? Don't bite my shirt. No, no, no. No. Beano, have a kiss. Have a kiss. Kissy? Why are you looking at me like that? He's just turned his back on me. Hello again, bunnies. I was talking to the camera just to record my thoughts, and bunnies decided they needed some attention. No, you don't. No, you don't. You stay with me, baby girl. We'll eat you alive. Beano. Kissy. Beano's decided to come and join us. Beano's decided to come and join us. Look at this.
Aww,
Oh.
good bunny.
Hey, Licky. This is kind of difficult. Hey, don't you do that shit. Come on, you be nice to each other. Little monsters. You be nice, okay? They just. It's funny. So, just a relaxing evening then. They clearly love you, which is awesome. They don't love each other. I wish they did. I've been trying to get them bonded for 8 months. And they're so well behaved outside. If I take them outside and they're in the pushchair, it's like I've put them in a love boat and I'm just shaking them around to trauma bond them. And they just behave so well. But indoors they fight. They want you all to themselves, no sharing. Yep, you got that right. Yep, they want me all to themselves. Obviously. No, you don't eat my shit. No. She wants to go join him, but the trouble is, I can't get them when they decide to have a... Not even a lover's argument, it's worse. There's fur flying and everything, and then they lock onto each other, and they flip on their sides, and they kick. Oh, like, oh God, they're gonna kill each other. I can't. I have to separate them, and then I end up with cuts. I wasn't doing this. I was showing you a cut. All right, you've had enough. Beano's had enough. All right, okay. I'm gonna. Right. Baby girl. Gone down, pooped all over my mattress. So, where are we? The animals understand us, but we can't understand them, which makes me believe that they know way more than we think. Oh, yeah. No, right now, she's got it good. She's got her area of the house, he's got his area of the house. They're trying to control what little they think they have, not realizing there's more if they shared. So the problem is he is a trauma bunny because he came out of a meat farm and he doesn't know how to love. So he doesn't even know how to be nice to her and groom her. It's been really frustrating because all she wants is a little bit of comfort. And he's such a clumsy oaf, he's not aware of her at all. When he jumps into the stroller with her, he lands on her. And she's little and she hurts. And so she gets angry and she bites him on the bum. And then they end up with a little quarrel in the carriage, and I can stop that. But on the whole, they behave together when we're out really well, but when they're indoors, they just, nope, this is mine, this is mine. But we'll get there. I'm on a liquid diet at the moment because I'm having my colonoscopy and coming up in a couple of days, and I'm just trying to make sure I have the cleanest bowel prep. So tomorrow is going to be wonderful. I can't eat much anyway, so because my stomach hurts a lot. So this is how I'm really going to feel the fast. I don't really feel. Pistol asks, how are you feeling tonight? The last time I was in the chat, you said you weren't good. What are you doing today? It's hard to say. This is the worst it's gonna get. You know, I'm always in instant pain. It's subtle pain. But there's a lot of it. It's everywhere, and that can be fatiguing. Just being in pain all the time is fatiguing. But I'm in good spirits. I'm not depressed. I don't feel sad. I don't feel depressed at all. I don't feel sad or sorry for myself, or I don't feel any anger now. In actual fact, that I feel grateful for every day, because if this is the worst it's gonna get, you can still enjoy life. You can still enjoy, and that's what I do. I enjoy my bunnies. I'm on medical leave. My full-time job is to just enjoy it, even though I'm in pain. So I can cope with this. This isn't too bad. I'm wondering how else, knowing that I've got cancer now, knowing the difference between stage 4 and terminal is also quite interesting. I'm not terminal yet. Terminal is when the organs for sustaining life there's no going. Those organs for sustaining life have been so injured and hard that they are at their limit for sustaining life. Different situation, says Pistol, but let's just say for the last 6 months, I've had a lot of challenges face me. Life pretty unfair, isn't it? It kind of like kicks you when you're down. And then when you finally get to a point in like me, you just realize life is just for living, because then you die. So I can say whatever I want now, and I don't care. The anxiety's gone. It's great. It's hardest on those who are separated from us or who be separated from us. That kind of pain. That is pain. And I hate that. Yeah. A domino effect. It's like, kind of like one shit after another. But imagine you're crossing a wet puddle, and the only stepping stones are pieces of shit. You step in one piece of shit to another, and it's just, oh no, it's just getting worse. Like, what the fuck? You were just trying to stay out of water all your life, and you're springboarding from one shit to another. Destroy my life. Or I could have just got wet. But then it wouldn't have been a puddle. It would have been, for me, it would have been the thing that you step into and you just go chunk straight down. Pistol says, I battle PTSD and depression, 10 years worth of pain. I'm a therapist, though as far as I'll go with that. Yeah, PTSD. I've been battling CPTSD for about 7 years now. And it has its ebbs and flows. And I can't describe how much trouble it got me into, because the anxiety of having it, and you hold yourself back from what you could have been, because the fear, the avoidance of that trigger compels you to change your behavior and not enjoy life anymore. And I did that for too long. And I enabled the cancer to grow. And cancer for me has been an amazing discovery of my goals in life, even though it could be the last summer, the last year of life. Because it's really brought me back a focus, the kind of pain I suffer, what I've been resilient through, what I have ignored. I'm rooting for you, Pistol. I'm rooting for you because I know what PTSD is like. Battling it for many years, 7 years approximately. But it's been a build-up through my life, through my entire life, and I'm not completely cured of it. But the interesting thing is, I don't let it change my behavior. I don't anticipate things. Anticipation comes with anxiety. It comes with expectations. I don't have expectations anymore. I don't think about the future. I just live in the moment. Every single day I live in the now, and I'm like grateful for it. So the PTSD hasn't affected me in two months now. Yeah, it's been gone for 2 months. I have a temper over it, Pistol, but I'm getting better with therapy. I don't want to make this about me, though. No, you're in it. I'm right there with you. I have had such anger over the last 2 years. It made me bitter. And I don't want to be that bitter person. And the anger actually came through not being heard. Like, you can't hear my feelings. And so I shut down and I swallowed it and I kept them them to myself because no one can hear me, made me so angry. And when you're angry inside, it bleeds of you. You bleed over people. And the easiest target was my husband. Right? Pistol says, wow, you sound like me. I understand anger. And I think that's connected PTSD in somehow, because my anger's gone. My anger was the thing to go. The PTSD was the first thing to go. I don't know why, but they're connected somehow. And if I think about it, I let my anger go because I didn't give a shit that no one could hear me now, because I had a knowingness of what my feelings are. I know what I'm feeling, and knowing is a feeling. So when you know yourself and you can understand yourself, it comes with a bit of forgiveness. It comes with self-value. You get your dignity back. I've been missing my dignity. And I blamed the dignity on others. I blamed other people for my loss of dignity. But really, it was like I was gaslighting myself. I gaslit myself because when I see myself now and I have dignity, I have self-respect, I have value, I love life, I have no anger. And in that space, I realized how much I was in my own way and holding myself back and holding back from telling anyone what I was going through, and holding back even to the point where I'm no longer honest with myself. Can't be honest to myself. And I would write in a journal how angry I was. So Pistol, this is kind of incredible, isn't it? You've written, I get angry when I feel like I'm not heard and it upsets me so much. As Joe was saying earlier. He also says, I'm honestly looking for peace in my 30s now, and I've learned a lot during my youth, my early 20s especially. When I was in my 20s, I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, but what I knew then was that I felt like I was not capable of getting anywhere in life. I felt kind of hopeless, really. I felt that I was never going to be anything of value to society. I didn't have friends that valued me, and I didn't have a place in society. I didn't have a job to look forward to or a career to look forward to. I felt valueless. I felt unneeded. And to cover that up, I made my own business, and the business had a shop sign, and that gave me some semblance of self-worth. Pistol says, one of my best friends died. I still think about him, especially right now. I miss him. He was one of the people I went to as a mentor in life, to a sense. I had one of those, and he had a lot of impact on me about 7 years ago. And then we had to part ways because it was toxic, and I had to get myself out of that situation. And it was the worst feeling in the world. Just being separated from someone you love is a pain no matter what. Pain whether they're alive or dead. I don't like to say it, but I loved him. And when I extracted that from that situation, it was like I was committing suicide. It was that bad. And I just felt like a death of me when I had to part from this toxic man that I loved. It was like I had to commit suicide. That was the feeling. It was like I was committing suicide in that a piece of me was dying when the relationship was over. But here's the weird thing. I couldn't tell him. There was no goodbye. I just escaped from that situation and left him unknowing that I had gone. So he didn't know that I had pulled myself out of the situation until I had got far away. And it was like I was murdering myself. I was doing this. It really, really hurt. And I missed him so bad. I don't cry about it now. That's good. I don't know why. I cried about him for many years. I think 3 years I cried about him. Oh my god, this is getting creepy. Pistol says, me too. I had to pull away from him because he was no good at all. Part of me feels bad, but looking back, I have no regrets. Just like, what is going on here? Are we vibing? I've been heartbroken by women. I've been in relationships. Everyone has this recent relationship. I was very challenging too. In actual fact, let you in on a secret. This man that I pulled myself out of a toxic relationship with felt like suicide. And he was the cause of my CPTSD. I'd already been a childhood SA survivor, and this man suddenly, through a form of, I guess they call it trauma bonding, I was trapped in a foreign country with this guy. He gave me a job. I got away from him. And I looked up to him. He was my mentor. He employed me. He was my boss. I paid rent because he was paying me. So I was under this enormous threat that if I failed, that I would be able to pay my rent. And what the hell's going to happen to me? I'm in a foreign country. And it got so bad that I had to escape and not let him know that I was quitting work. And I escaped. But, wow. It destroyed me. I'm going to put that bowl back. Really would like banana. Isn't that kind of creepy, Pistol? I escaped from that relationship. And it hurt a lot of people on the way. But I have no regrets. It's just painful. And it's taken me 7 years. It's taken me 7 years to let it go. And let him go. To let him go. Because I don't care about him. I don't think about him anymore. And that's how I know I've let him go. Because I used to Facebook stalk him every now and again and check out what he was doing. I just wanted to find out if he was happy in his life, or if he had moved on, if he was using someone else or whatever. And I don't know why, because that's just re-torturing myself. But the focus on me, when it became on myself, I don't know, I just stopped thinking about him. Hey, Beano, you back now? You gonna be nice? No, the hardest part is letting go, because it is like committing suicide. Yeah. Part of yourself dies when you let go of someone. And creepy thing, it's the only time I've been in love romantically. That's the weird thing. That kind of romantic connection with someone, I don't want that again, ever. Yeah. Pistol says, I'm not just talking the person, I'm talking everything. Let go of everything. Yeah. Suddenly, there's a part of me that I realise existed before and doesn't now. And the part that existed before was a kind of a need. There was a need. There was a need to have someone there for me, a need. A kind of neediness, yeah. And that faded away from me about 2 years ago. It's when it faded away. I don't know why. When I think of it now, and I know it's completely gone now. When I think about it now, the neediness is a strange thing. It's like, I've never been a lonely person. I've never suffered loneliness. I'm alone a lot, but I never loneliness. And so if I've never suffered loneliness, how can there still be a neediness in there? It wasn't a neediness for companionship. It was a neediness of thing that they had to do for me. They had to give me something. Excitement, that fear. I was attracted to fear somehow. A fear, like, I've never done this before, but a kind of sensation I would imagine if you was to chance it and say, I want to have someone in the elevator, like that fear that you might get caught, that fear that you might be doing something wrong, that chasing that fear, that, well, hey, after this conversation here, I feel like we definitely have a way more common than realized. That's weird, isn't it? Oh, hello, Beano. What are you doing? So, I realize now my neediness was of a kind of attention energy that was not. Did you see what I said before this? That you saw an eye open, especially when you were with her. He had a neediness of me. Think about it now. He had a neediness of me in the way that he always wanted to cuddle me, and I've never really had that. I'm good with my aloneness. I'm good with not being cuddled all through the night. And it's kind of weird for me when someone wants to put their arm around me and do that, because I feel, I've got to get out. I've got to wriggle out. I've got to throw that arm off. It's too heavy. I want a heavy blanket, not a heavy arm. I don't know what it is, but his neediness was different from mine. So his neediness was this kind of permanent body contact. like enveloping me. I was his. And that just didn't feel right for me. And my neediness was different. So our needinesses weren't matched. Something that hurt me, I don't know that he intended, he just didn't have any awareness of what he was contributing to my situation. So he had no awareness that what he was doing was taking advantage of the situation. He was my boss. He knew he was my boss. But that comes with a certain level of respect that you're completely unaware that when you're asking her to make choices like, will you move in with me? There's this fear in the back of my head that if I say no, he's going to slash my wages. Which actually happened. I refused to move in with him, and then he slashed my wages as punishment. And I didn't have enough money to pay the rent in a foreign country. And oh yeah, no, there was definitely some blackmail. The weird thing is, it was like, even though I got angry at that, and I felt terrified about it, and I was hurt, and blah, 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 nothing. There was no acknowledgement of the situation. He put me in Austria. He put me in a foreign country. He put me in that home. I'm paying all this money out of money that he is paying me, and if you cut that money off to force me to move in with you, like, he just thought, oh, you know, I mean, what does it take for someone to be that unaware? What does it take for someone to be that unaware of the pressure that I was under? So I played it nice, but it broke me. It gave me a nervous breakdown, and I escaped from him. And I didn't want to. I really loved him, but he just came manipulative, just a vampire. So it's all right. I went through it. It was a life lesson that I should have learned easier in childhood with decent parenting and stuff, but I didn't get that, and I had to reparent myself. I had to make those mistakes for myself. So it's fine. Yeah, some people just become the villain because they've been through a lot in their lives, or some people are just that sick, plain and simple. Yeah, I did, and I couldn't work it out. Do I need to work it out? I wanted to work it out. I wanted to figure it out. Why? But then I realized when I got cancer and I could be dying, might not be here in 3 months, might not make it to Christmas. What matters now? What matters in life? I thought about it. And 2 years ago, when I knew I had cancer, but no one could hear me, I started thinking, well, okay, what is the strategy? I'm going to be unheard until something happens. So I'm going to give less fucks. I'm going to give a lot less shit. I'm not going to care anymore. I'm not going to have needs anymore because I'm going to live in the moment, enjoy more of life now. Not knowing when your time's up. I've got a timeline, and 2 years ago, my timeline's about 3.5 years. So that means 2 years ago it was 3.5 years. So that means, according to the timeline I predicted, that I would make it through the next 1.5 years, funnily enough. And that basis, that thought, was drawn together from all the different sources of disease processes, because I understand a lot about disease mechanisms. I've been ill most of my life, and I always wanted to figure out why. So I studied the human body, and I studied Chinese approach to medicine and the imbalances that can lead to disease. And so it's always been a constant interest of me to find out why I'm so ill all the time. Pistol says you're making me want to smoke this joint. Go ahead. You know what? I'm gonna grab another gummy. Hold that thought. I'm just crawl off and grab another gummy. Oh. I hope that was the right one. I use gum sparingly because they actually slow my liver down. And right now I have a bit of an injured liver and I need to maintain maximum efficiency. But because I've just eaten Jello, that's pretty easy for the liver to metabolize. It's mostly pectin and polypeptide type stuff. I'm not alone. I like being alone, but I'm not lonely. So I'm never lonely. I'm rooting for people to get through their pain because I have no fear whatsoever. Not afraid of what's going to happen with me. Like I said, my CPTSD disappeared completely 2 months ago. And my anger disappeared 2 weeks ago. And why was that? My anger disappeared 2 weeks ago because the knowingness set in. Yeah, Pistol, it's weird, isn't it? Do I have magnet on my head? Like, you know, like, what word would it be right here? PTSD magnet. Fellow chronic warrior, Spoonie's magnet. Spoonie's magnet. I don't know. So my anger disappeared 2 weeks ago because all of a sudden I didn't need to be heard anymore by the doctors. There was none of the neediness to be heard because I was fully in connection with my body in ways that I now could communicate. And I don't give a shit if it's not a symptom that can be logged according to the numbers that you have put down as data, as empirical data that you can see and measure and feel, right? I didn't care. My signs were so strong. The tells and the signs in the body were so strong. It's like saying to a woman, so are you pregnant? And the woman stands there like, she knows she's pregnant, you know? Maybe you're not pregnant. Now you're gonna make her angry. You might not be pregnant. Are you kidding me? I know I'm angry, you know? So, you know, and I'm pregnant with cancer. There's just a knowingness, and that knowingness is a feeling. So if someone, well, you don't know if it's this or that, you don't know, it feels like they're gaslighting you. It feels like dismissing you. And then you get really angry, right? Well, no, my reaction is when someone says something as dumb as that to me, when I know in myself what's going on, I know how I'm feeling, I'm just like, you fucking idiot. So that's when anger went away. It was all of a sudden, I don't need your validation. I validated myself, and the anger went away. No more. Don't care. Don't need your validation. I validated myself. I know myself. I know my body. I've lived in it for 47 years. I've been through 2 pregnancies, 1 hip replacement, an attempted suicide, near-death experience. I've been through a lot of weird stuff. I had emotional breakdown, mental breakdown, seizures here and there. Even quite recently I had a seizure. Yeah, I'm great. I'm an old crone now. I'm officially post-menopause. I'm officially post-menopause, which means on the books they can write down post-menopause, which means that I am no longer looked at as a woman. I'm an old crone. And it's great, it's very freeing. I'm your sister's age. I'm at the age now in life, I'm sort of aged, right? I'm at the age now in life where people that know your acquaintances start dropping dead. Accidental. Oh, one of my acquaintances had the flu, died at home. He was an alcoholic. So his immune system was pretty shot. Yeah, so I've lost a lot of people that I've known. I wouldn't say I knew them. They were just more like acquaintances, and we were friendly, and I know of them. But I haven't lost anyone close to me. Well, supposedly close, but I didn't much have any feelings about it. And that would make me feel like a bad person, because I don't really like people. So, you know, when you hear they die, oh gosh, one of the latest ones, my age, right? I couldn't help but stalk him, track him down, only to find he died a few days before, just before I went nosing on his profile again. Yeah, I do, actually. You can find me on Instagram as Elegant Aquanaut. Elegant Aquanaut. I actually talk more on here, but on Elegant Aquanaut, I lose faith in a lot of Western social media now. I've actually migrated myself over to Rednote, which is a Chinese social media app, and I'm really loving it over there because people just behave differently there, and it's really eye-opening. It's really eye-opening because the behavior patterns are so strong. The whole algorithm works differently, and it feels very supportive over there. It doesn't feel like over here, social media feels like it's out there to attack you. I'll see if I can type it in. Let's see. Okay, I got it. Okay. Hang on. Right. Let's type it in. Nope. How do I type in the chat? Nope. I know how to type in the chat. Oh, I've never done this before. When I hit the plus button, nothing happens. Oh! Dear oh dear. I don't know. I'm not very good at this, am I? What does that button do? I'm looking all over the screen here at the different buttons. Yeah, as someone who's doing the broadcast, I think screen just looks different. But anyway, if you go on to the App Store or whatever and you type in Rednote, REDNOTE. Oh no, sorry, you wanted my name. My name. I will definitely put it in the comments after this. Okay? After this chat. So, I'm gonna hang this back up. Oh, there you are, Beano. Hello. Oh God. Oh. Yeah, I'll put it in the comments after. He's so funny. My big bunny. He's a very needy bunny. I've learned a lot through my bunnies. So this bunny, he's a trauma bunny. He has PTSD. He'd never been out of a cage for 4 years of his life. And when I first got him, he used to shuffle around on his butt. And there was fecal matter matted into his fur. And so he couldn't stretch his legs, shuffle around on his butt. And it took me 3 days to remove the fecal mats out of his fur. Days to get the fecal mats out of his fur, and I treated his skin underneath, and he'd been outside of a pen. So after 3 days of living with us here in a pen, because we had to let him decompress, I managed to start grooming him. And then he was free to get out of the pen if he wanted, but he would just stay there. He would stay in the pen. And then one day he discovered he could hop, and he hopped out of the pen, and he was so scared of being in a room, he hopped straight back in. And now he's free in the room, but it took him, I think it took about 4 months to get him to explore the room. Now we're 8 months in, and he is trusting me, and he is following my commands. He's very trainable, but he still suffers with this PTSD. And I'm healing him by doing I do like a special kind of massage on him. I also do acustimulation him. So I stimulate his nerves and his meridians, and I warm it up and try and get his nerves to heal. There's a lot of trauma trapped in his lower back and sacrum. And oh my god, this thing happened the other night. So he tried to jump into one of those chairs over here, one of these dining room chairs, right? So he tried to jump in through the side, through the arm. You see there's a little gap in the chair? He tried to jump through there to get on the chair. And he set himself off like a torpedo and jumped into the chair and got stuck, and his back legs were down and he was swinging around like this. So yeah, so Pistol writes, you seem very into people and animals you care about, and that's so heart-filling. Animals can teach you so much when you get to feel them, and I'll explain what that is by describing how he did himself. So I'm glad that he got curious, because him getting curious is learning to let go of this behavior, this PTSD. So he's getting curious, he's getting more confident, he's growing through the pain, the discomfort of that fear that's holding him back. And then he got curious, and he doesn't know, because he's lacking a certain self-awareness, he's too big to fit through the gap in the chair, and he aimed and jumped into it and got stuck. And then he's dangling there from his shoulder blades, kicking his legs and spinning and hurting himself. And I managed to rescue him, but not in time, and fell out of the seat and bumped on his butt right on the sacral plexus. And he frightened himself. But for the first time, he frightened himself, and he ran around the carpet and then stopped in front of my head and asked me to comfort him. And that's the first. Normally when he gets scared, he gets so scared that instead of asking me to comfort him, he will hide, and he will cramp himself up into a little hole, and you can't get him out. He'll just wedge himself in, you know? So the fact that he hurt himself, and after being curious, after breaking those boundaries of the PTSD where it was holding him back, and he ran around the rug, and then he was still suffering. His eyes were like boggling out, and he lay down in front of me, and then he started to have seizure in his lumbar. So it wasn't in his head, it was the nerves were just going off like crazy in his back and his legs. And I put my hands on him, and I stabilized it and just absorbed some of that muscle tension. And I stayed with him. I was like, it's okay, it's okay. And he knows it's okay. And he let me ease him through it. And that's when I realized this poor bunny, he was in the meat farm, and that trauma had somehow injured his lumbar plexus. He had definitely been strung up by his legs, hung by his legs at some point, because the trauma was scarred into his lumbar region. That's where the seizure was happening. And I mean, it's something that you would never get on camera because you're in the moment and you are fixing it. So no one's going to be there to record it and describe what's happening. And this is why I wanted to record it, because I'm like, there are so many parallels to human life that you can learn through your animals. And this bunny, he's been a work in progress. He's been through some kind of hell in the meat farm. And at 4 years old, he was classed as old. And because he's a giant bunny, they let them go. But he was rescued by the rescue center, and then we found him. And I I saw him and I was just like, I really want to help this guy. I really want to help this guy. He needs so much work. And that's the thing. He needs to somehow go through the pain of the trauma that's still affecting him, this, like the CPTSD, the memory of that can come back. But if I'm there and I'm with him and I'm holding him through it, he'll know it's okay. And it will program his nervous system to just go with it. And that's what happened the other day. And then I realized something must have happened to me as well. I've been able to let go. And it's the cancer. I enjoy music, but mostly stuff that people wouldn't have heard of. And also I love dubstep, chill step. I love chill out music. I have a favorite channel that I'm always putting on called Fluidified, and that's my music. So I put that on when I'm enjoying a gummy, and I put that on enjoying the pool. Pistol, you were with me, weren't you, when I was sculpting the brain? I haven't finished it yet. I still need to get back and finish it yet. My projects kind of took a bit of a hold because when I knew this thing was metastasizing and it was spreading, I had to stop my projects. I had to somehow get off work and go on medical leave and fight this thing before it was too late, because I suddenly had, the tell signs were suddenly rapidly ramping up in frequency and consistency. And I knew all the signs were there enough for me to communicate with doctors for them to take me seriously at some point. And it's been 2 months. It's been 2 months and they still haven't got a name for it, but they got a hunch, and I know how to read doctors between the lines now. So when the oncologist doesn't use the word cancer, it's because he's ethically not allowed to say to you, you might have cancer, until there is empirical data. That doesn't mean they're not hearing you. It means that their hands are tied. So if your oncologist is the one that's guiding you, not your primary care, but your oncologist, and the oncologist figures out, he's got a hunch, is it a disease of the immune system, therefore turning into lymphoma because it's the lymphatic system? Is it a disease of the adenoma, which is colorectal cancer and stomach cancer and esophageal and all that kind of, you know? Is it leukemia based? Is it coming out of the bone? They have to go to a certain specialist for that information. So Pistol just said, my therapist says I'm on the right track, but you know, sometimes I wonder if I am. I still have the flashbacks at times, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm telling you now, I suffered permanent anxiety, nightmares every night, until 2 weeks ago, and it all stopped. And I know why. Because the anxiety went away. There was just the knowingness that came. But when you are permanently suffering anxiety, here's what happens. Your emotional state at night is honest to you. And the nightmares are no longer things from the past haunting you, but your troubles now. and they feel like an echo from the past with the same message. But it's not. Your brain gets traumatized again, being re-traumatized and twisted according to your inability to be heard in the present. And your body knows this and it's trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you no one's listening to you. And it's trying to tell you, what are you listening to? So you have dreams like you're trapped in water, inescapable. There's always a lot of water involved. That inescapable feeling of drowning, you know? Your mouth is dry because of the cortisol. It's interesting, the burning alive one hasn't got to me as much as I can't relate to it, obviously. I can't relate to it, although I do have a bit of a sick and I don't know if you remember the days of the I'm not sure if it was the war or it was after 9/11. I think it was after 9/11, and ISIS was doing these execution videos, and I just wanted to see them so badly. I wanted to know. I wanted to go to that darkest place and see it. And I saw the videos, and they didn't scare me, and they should have scared me. But they weren't scary, so they didn't become part of my nightmares. But maybe drowning scares me more than those execution videos, because drowning for me feels like, well, that's what someone else is going to do to you, and I'm not scared of that. But drowning is something that I end up doing to myself. So I have a bigger fear of what I would do to myself than someone hurting me. Makes sense. Which is why drowning becomes a theme in my nightmares. So Pistol says they were 10 years old during 9/11, and they watched 9/11 on the news all day in Glass, the Twin Towers. Yeah. Back then, after the sort of public ISIS executions of, like, Western pilots, if they find a Western pilot, they would execute them, or a journalist, they would execute them. And snippets of the video would end up on YouTube and then be banned, and then people would be like digging for them and looking for them, and so I was one of those people. And I didn't see it back then. I didn't make the connection that my PTSD, which has existed for a very long time, it has roots going back to my awakening years. My dreams of nightmares were terrifying to me with the water themes, because that's something that I am in control of. But of these execution videos that I'm fearful of at all, just sickly fascinated with, was because I wasn't afraid of people hurting me. That they're not doing that to themselves. So isn't that weird? I never thought about it before. But anyway, all of those water dreams, gone. I don't get nightmares anymore. No nightmares. I wish I had nice dreams, but I don't have any dreams at all right now, which kind of sucks. That's one of them where were you type of things. 9/11. Not sure if you were in the States like I am. No, back at 9/11, I was back in England. I lived in my own house with my baby daddy back then. And I was watching the news and he was at work. And it came up on the news. And I remember thinking at the time, this was a really good movie for a remake of The Towering Inferno. And I was like, wait a second, that's real. It's not a movie trailer. It's not reality TV kind of weirdness. There's been times that Pistol had dreams so good they got sad when it was only a dream. Ever had a dream like that, waking up sad? Don't think I want to answer that now, but I don't think I did. Rarely, extremely rarely. There was only one time in my life I did. And I don't think I want to go into it now. Obviously, when I lost my children, that was a time I would wake up sad because I'd lost my children. But there was one other time. I have gone over a bunch of weird stuff in this live stream that I didn't realize was my truth. I didn't realize it was there, but it's come out now. It's come out now because of the cancer. Because I'm just letting it all go. And if it can help someone, that's great. Because I don't need it anymore. I don't need to hold on to any of that stuff that was poisoning me, and stuff that was changing my behavior and modifying how I avoided things in life, how I avoided living. I avoided living the way I wanted. I avoided living by changing my behavior to adapt for other people's expectations of me and other people's defensiveness of me. I adapted my behavior to protect other people's fragility. Pistol says, look like this. Now we can help each other out by having conversations like this. That's what I've been doing. On these streams where I've been talking a lot lately, it's because I don't know what I'm going to say. I put a general topic in because I wanted to update people about my oncology appointment, and have a milestone of different things, but also document the different stages of acceptance I've been through learning that I have cancer. It's not terminal yet. Terminal is when there is a point of not being able to sustain life and you are that close to it. And there is a small chance something can go wrong in the next few days. But if I was to look at chances, that would be being doubtful. And so here's the chance. I'm gonna just roll it out. Just think about what's happening. The sensations pinging away in my body are pinging away like a Geiger counter that's on white noise right now. Can feel it everywhere. I'm very present with the cancer. So you go live to speak your mind. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, I'm going live online to record this journey, because if I don't make it, there will be a record, and I'll be directing someone to kind of edit the transcript in case it does help others. Wow, my gummy has just kicked in. And where was I again? I was somewhere. If I survive, then it's going to be my job. I'm going to edit this together and show people how they survive. Oh yeah, so the chances of what I've got turning terminal. So last night, I felt the cancer reach my heart. We're looking at this stage, it's looking like, yes, it does match the symptoms of leukemia. Yes, it does match many of the symptoms of leukemia. Yes, it does have some of the properties of colorectal cancer. But for very good, intelligent guesses, this cancer coming out of my hip replacement, which is 10 years old and failing, and it's therefore likely to be a type of bone cancer. And this bone cancer is very aggressive, which matches the progression rate that this has had over the last 3 months now. It's progressed pretty rapidly from my pelvis up my stomach, in my liver. It's touched my lung. It touched my lung last week. And so 2 weeks ago, the realization hit this was cancer, because the tearing sensation around my stomach was just so agonizing, I couldn't ignore it. And then I realized, wait, this has actually crossed the chest wall divide. It's crossed that. It's in my stomach. It's and I was kind of fearful then, because I thought, well, if it's crossed that divide, now it has access to organs sustaining life. It has access to my lungs. It has access to my heart. So last week, it touched my lungs. And that was a little scary. I mean, I wasn't scared. I was a little scared. I was like, oh shit, it's crossed the chest wall. I had to use my EpiPen. But ever since then, I've been coughing a little bit at night when my chest gets a bit dry, and the cancer tickles because it's clumping and it's trying to grow. And I know what it's doing. So, and I feel helpless because I touch it. there's a rib cage and I can't put my hand on it and touch it. How can I touch it now? So it moved into my lungs, and then last night I felt it move into my heart. So the sensation of it moving into my heart woke me up straight out of sleep. No nightmares, pleasant, beautiful sleep. 5 a.m. in the morning, I suddenly get woken up and my heart is doing this. It's right. It's just kind of, there's part of the heart which is kind of not, it's kind of jiggling around, and this is trying to pump around the jiggle. So the theoretical cancer that we're looking for is called a sarcoma, a spindle cell sarcoma. And when it metastasizes and spreads in these little clumps, if a piece of it landed from the stomach, it broke off from the stomach and went to my heart. So maybe it's just on the pericardial lining. I don't know, but either way, these spindle cells, when they embed, they make the blood vessels just like the egg implanting in a woman's womb. So there's that sensation of it bedding in, and the spindle cells crystallize calcium, and the calcium tears healthy cells. And the calcium is also an ion that hits a nerve motor neuron and triggers pain. And the pain signal can block the heart signal that's flowing all the way through the muscle. Doesn't even need to be on a nerve, because the muscles communicate to each other. They're in chorus. They do things at the same time. But now there's a calcium on that's interfering with that rhythm. And my heart was doing this. It woke me up at a.m. and it was shuddering. And it was beating, but it was shuddering. And I shit myself. I was like, oh, it's touched my heart. And I was like, okay, am I going to have a heart attack? It's very mild. My heart it's strong enough through this. I hope my immune system catches up with it soon. And I'm not going to slow my immune system down. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to get stressed. I'm not going to suffer with anxiety, because my immune system knows what to do, and it will catch up with it. It will kill it within 3 days if I let it, right? But if I get anxious and my immune system gets rushed past it and doesn't get to sniff it out properly, I'm not going to rush it. I just want it to do its job. So I'm just going to be calm. And I went back to sleep. And I woke up again this morning, and the pain was there. I was like, I have a pain in my chest now that moved my heart rhythm. It's in my heart now. So I've been thinking about that a lot today. And I wrote to my oncologist and I let him know. I'm going under anesthesia on Tuesday morning. So there's a chance, even if my immune system has found it in my heart and worked on it, what happens is when the immune system catches up to a cancer clump, first of all, the eosinophils skin, and they crowd the area out, so it turns into a big pimple. So I'm going to get a pimple on my heart, which is going to feel sore, like a big boil in your face, right? It's going to feel like that. My heart's going to be in trouble for a couple of days. It's going to be like doing this thing, which I was describing, this kind of, I guess they call it arrhythmia. I don't know what arrhythmia feels like or looks like, but this is weird. What's happening right now is weird. And my heart's recovered, but every now and again, it does it. So my immune system's going to come in and it's going to swell it up like a boil on my heart, and then it will kill it. And here's the thing I'm worried about. It takes about 3 days. So it embedded last night. Then we've got Sunday, which is today, and Monday, and then the surgery date, which is Tuesday. 3 days. 3 days. The third day is usually when one of these crystals pops out of the spindle cell, because I've noticed the pattern that every time the clumping breaks off after I've been doing the work, it lands in my nose, it lands in my face, and then it does this 3-day thing, and then on the third day it comes out my nose. Or I've got them in other parts of my body, which is not very pleasant. And so I'm going to be dropping out rice grains from different parts of my body and collecting them for the oncologist. He wants to collect the things that my body pushing out. So yeah, it's going to be, I'm a little worried at that point. If I'm under anesthesia, I'll be safe because they'll see that and they'll protect me. But what if a blood clot happens? What if something tears off? What if the spindle cells produce this calcium and it rips some health cells? What if it does deposit a plebolith into my blood and I end up with a stroke? So I have to tell the anesthesiologist on Tuesday morning there's stroke in my family, to protect myself in case something happens. Because these little clumps of cancer that are flying around, they can mess up a surgery. So I'm not scared, because if it happens, I'll be under. You know? So that's the chance. But I can minimize that chance by telling the anesthesiologist there's stroke in my family. And I'm not well at the moment. So if anything's going to happen, it will happen on your watch. Please. I look forward to... Yeah, I'm not scared. Because they'll be looking after me, let them know. And I'm always right. I'm always right. So if I go to get my blood drawn, I tell the nurse, I have syncope. Oh, let's make you lie down. I don't want you to trouble. I don't want you to pass out on me, because then it's, I don't like that. But they prefer it if you tell them. So I'm like, yeah, I have syncope. I don't know what causes it. I do, actually, but it's a big thing I don't want to go into with them. And I wish people could be more aware, because they could help to get people through it without syncope. So I had a nurse visit me during the week for a blood draw. She came to my home to do this blood draw. I had this blood kit. I had to put ice packs in the freezer so that she could do all the work and send it off. And I didn't bother telling her that I get syncope, because I just wanted her to get through the job as quickly as possible and not worry about me. Just wanted her to just quickly. Because when they slow down, that is what triggered my syncope. It's like, don't slow down, just, Or they say something stupid to you like, oh, it's really slow for some reason. Did you have to say that? Because it's not natural for blood to be coming in the body. My brain knows it's not natural, and you've just gone and told me that shit, and now I'm gonna pass out, Yeah, just... Maybe I should have told her that. But anyway, she poked me twice. The first time, I held on, and we got through 3 tubes, and then I passed out. I did the other vein, and unfortunately the other vein was all scarred up from the emergency room visits. They always give me some freaking new ambulance EMT trainee who pokes and rips up my veins, and there's blood everywhere. And so anyway, that vein unfortunately has been scarred up by the emergency room, And so it's slow. And she's sitting there tapping away, trying to get it to go in the tube, and I can hear fussing. I go again. She has to stop. She's got 4 tubes out of 8. Damn. So she's there and she's like pouring blood from one tube into another. She's decanting them to try and spread it out through these little vials. I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I really wanted you. Can you poke another vein? Is there anything you can poke? She said, we're only allowed to do twice. I have to go, and if we need more blood, I'll come back. I'll make another appointment. I was like, oh, I don't want her to come back. I really don't want this vampire to come back. Yeah. I mean, I could have told her what makes me pass out, but I just didn't want to spend the energy educating people. I was like, I got no time for this. It's only going to affect one phlebotomist, maybe. I love swimming. So Pistol asks that a lot of my videos are swimming oriented. Do I do it for health or joy? Both. So I naturally gravitated to the water ever since I was a brat. I had this weird skill of being able to sit on the bottom of the pool, look up at people, swim by. I could hold my breath for a minute when I was a little sprat, you know. I was a spratling, and I would just love sitting on the bottom of the pool watching people swim. And I thought to myself, where does this come from? No one else can hold their breath for 1 minute, and I can, and I'm a kid. Where does this come from? What job could I get doing this? There were no such thing as mermaids as full-time jobs back then, but I was like, I really thought about it. And as I became an adult, I realized people do this for a living. Pearl divers. And I was like, I really, really relate to that. Can't tell you how, but I really love the thought of that as being my job in a village. And then I learned about my family history. Not through DNA analysis, but tracking it down. And I discovered that the whole other branch to my family was related to the water. I was like, oh my God, this is in my genes. The water is in my genes. I can breath hold so well, like it's part of my culture. It's part of my background, it's who I am. And I loved swimming even more. And the more I learned, the more I loved swimming, the more I felt connected to my ancestry and heritage. And makes me very proud, because there are none of us left in that part of the world anymore. They were all executed. Confucianism. So dragon wives back then, they did the pearl diving. The husbands looked after the children. They're kind of extinct now in that part of China, but they were all in the South Asian seas. And I have an amazing basketball team, Los Angeles Lakers, Dodgers football, I love Raiders. That's the teams I root for. Sports kept me out of trouble as a kid. Yeah, you know, you have your tribe, right? And water is my tribe. And so my ancestry is directly related to mermaids. Our women were the fisher women and the pirates of the South China Seas. And although our particular clan went extinct. There are many similar clans out there still going today, but there's only a few thousand of us, primarily women, because it's a matriarchal society, that still artisanally fish and look after the shorelines. So these artisanal fisherwomen are now under UNESCO Heritage Protection as a recognized cultural part of diversity that is dying. It's the last remaining matriarchal cultures in the world. And we are fisherwomen. And although the women that are out there doing it now are the Ama women of Japan, there's less than 1,000 of those, and the Jeju-do women of Jeju Island in Korea, the Sea Gypsies of the Philippines, predominantly women, not so much the Philippines. They're nomadic. They live on the seas. But primarily women. I finally got a match. My DNA analysis came through and they confirmed I share this gene with these people. And it just explains my whole childhood, and it just made me very proud, but it also made me very, very sad, because I know the real reason why the mermaid mythology exists. Because my people, when we were swimming in the seas 200 years ago, we swam in the seas 200 years ago, and if you can imagine a Western traveler, 9 months never having seen a woman in the sea, suddenly comes into a local bay, and there are naked women swimming in the sea, pearl diving, octopus wrangling, scallop hunting in buckets. And the men cover up their dirty deeds. They cover up their dirty deeds by returning back to Holland, by returning back to England, and telling these stories of the mermaids that beached them, the mermaids that they captured, they harpooned, and she was actually a girl, had 2 flippers, and the artist would draw a plate of a dying mermaid with 2 fins, with long black hair. She was only 4'10". One report in a broadsheet wrote, "She whimpered. We kept her in a barrel of water, and she died in her own poop in the barrel." And I managed to find these broadsheets of these Western sailors that returned and spoke of these horrifying mermaid stories, of these creatures that they captured and murdered, but they didn't murder them, they died. They were accidentally harpooned. Funnily enough, they didn't keep their bodies. Funnily enough, they just said that they were awful with fins, and then they didn't keep the bodies because they stank so bad, and they threw them back in the sea or whatever. So my people, these merchants would come from the West, and they would butcher and rape our women. So what did we do with the knives on our waists? We cut their fishing ropes. We cut their whaling ropes. We tried to protect ourselves. We were demonized. They brought stories back about how the mermaids of the seas would lure them to the shores. So when I hear this mermaid love, people talking about mermaids, it makes me angry. Because were my people that you were raping and lying and demonizing and dehumanizing and coming back to the West with your terrible stories about how they were really creatures of the sea, lured you to the beaches and you know, I think it's disgusting. And that mythology coming back to the West, and the men are like, oh, these creatures. And they say that to cover up the fact that they raped our women, that they did wrong things. Because they deserved it, because they were creatures, right? So, although my deep historical culture is gone, extinct, I have proof that we existed. I have the DNA that shows that I can breath hold for 3 minutes. I have the DNA that shows I share the gene with these women of the South China Seas. And I also have ancestry proof through marriage certificates going back to the regime uprise of a princess who was the daughter of a pirate bride, who my grandmother left a memoir behind and referred to herself as the Marian bride for having unbound feet in a noble family. So she knows her heritage, but it skipped a generation. It skipped my mother because my mother was cast out of the family and she escaped all of that. And when she came to England and had me, she was trying to get it back. She was fighting for recognition of her noble status instead of understanding the heritage, our heritage came from the seas. Jesus. Right. Okay, so I just reported a comment. This platform is rife with people that behave disgusting. It's something experienced on the Chinese social media channel, and that's enlightening to actually feel that this is not normal behavior. This is not normal behavior to be so exposed to that kind of bad behavior when people make disgusting comments in. It's not normal. And when you go on a different platform like Redneck and there is none of that behavior, it makes you really wonder what is wrong with society and the platforms that enables this normalization of misogyny. It's disgusting to me. Hey, Bino, what you doing? Yeah, Pistol says, that's terrible. I used to be a content creator and I lost my love for it. So, they think it's really funny to write comments like that are sexually explicit. But it's a complete disregard. It's a complete hatred of women. It does reflect more on the personality. Right, you got it, Pistol, right? So, just for those that do listen in, whatever, I've never experienced this behavior over on the Chinese and Red Note. So it makes you think about that. You come onto YouTube and people freely, they think it's freedom of speech to write sexually explicit comments. specifically on a topic I was talking about right now with the oppression of women in a patriarchal society that's been around millennia, hundreds of years. And the funny thing is, oh, Jesus, my background, my culture is not completely extinct. It was based on a matriarchal society where the women were the economy and men supported women. That's fascinating to me. Where are the examples of that now? Isn't that sad? So the examples we have now of those matriarchal communities, they're now protected by UNESCO heritage. And actually, my great-grandparents' mansion is also protected by the UNESCO heritage. But it's all gone now. I think I'm gonna go, because it's 180 minutes. Am I all right? I think I'm gonna just try and get ready to sleep. I'm gonna just try and get ready to sleep. See if I get through the night. I'm going through some pain. There's some swelling kicking in. It usually happens around this time at night. I'm just gonna try and get comfortable now and just not think. I might put a movie on or something and just see if I can go through the pain. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to, right now in the comments, when this wraps up, I'm going to drop in the comments my IG handle. So, I'm going offline now. Oh gosh. I'm in a lot of pain. But it's okay. I'm moving through it slowly.